If you have big goals but keep hitting the same internal wall, listen closely. Hard work will take you far. And when effort stops working, it is not a strategy problem. It is a programming problem. You do not rise to your goals, you elevate to your programming. Inside Outspoken, you'll reprogram the subconscious patterns that drive 95% of your results. And in the process, earn 6 powerful certifications while you do it. Enrollment closes January 31st. If you are ready to stop pushing and start leading from a solid, grounded foundation, join us in Outspoken. Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. I know you are here wanting to change and rewrite your story. You are desiring to step into the impact that you know you are here to create. I am here to guide you with the proven tools and strategies used by myself and our speakers to support you in taking radical responsibility in your life and learning how to own your choices to change your story. My name is Marsha Van Weinsberg. I am a storytelling business coach, master NLP trainer, speaker, podcaster, and 7 times published author. My clients have found freedom and purpose from overcoming their shame stories and learning how to share them with the world. I am so grateful you are here. Let's get started. Listener discretion is advised. This episode goes into details sharing the discussion of trauma, addiction, and violence. It is an incredible story, and I thank you so much, Ken, for sharing. Welcome back to the show. Today we are speaking with Ken Miller. Ken is a speaker, author, and nonprofit leader whose powerful personal story inspires transformation and resilience. As the author of Becoming Ken: From Prison to Purpose, he shares his journey from addiction and incarceration to becoming a respected voice in leadership, fundraising, and personal development. Ken is the founder of Ken Miller Speaks, a platform dedicated to helping people rise above adversity by embracing truth, authenticity, and purpose. His signature keynote, From Rock Bottom to Resilience, empowers audiences to turn their pain into power and live with intention. Drawing from lived experience and over 2 decades of leadership in the nonprofit sector, Ken brings a unique blend of vulnerability, strategy, and inspiration to every stage he steps on. Whether speaking to corporate teams, recovery communities, or leadership audiences, Ken's message is clear. You are not defined by your past. You are shaped by the choices you make moving forward. Ken's work has helped countless individuals and organizations unlock their potential through radical honesty, resilience, and the courage to lead from within. This is a very open, vulnerable, powerful episode as Ken shares his story, the challenges in his backstory, and how it has helped him to do the work that he is doing today. And it is definitely impacting so many people in so many walks of life. And I'm so grateful that we got to connect to have this conversation. Welcome to the show today, Ken. I have a feeling we are going to have a very beautiful and vulnerable conversation.
Yes, I agree. It's gonna be awesome.
Can you share where you're from?
Presently, Bellingham, Washington,
Okay.
so, about 10 miles away from the border, going to Canada, going
Mhm.
on I-5. Yeah.
Okay. And as we are looking at the screen right now, if you are hearing the audio, you don't see this picture, but you have a picture of your book there.
Mhm.
And I would just like to start there. I would love to
Sure.
start with the name of your book and why you decided to write it.
The name of the book is Becoming Ken, and the reason I wrote it is because I'm a big believer in integrity,
Mhm.
and I had told quite a few people that I was going to write a book, because everybody would say to me, or many people would say to me after they've spoken to me, "You need to write a book. You need to write a book."
Mhm.
Heard that for years, and finally, I told people, "Yeah, I'll do it, I'll do it." Took 3 years, but I did it,
Mhm.
And so it's my story. It's a story of redemption. It's a story of reclamation of the body, mind, and spirit.
Mhm.
It's a story of coming back from the setback, resilience, and it's just a story of a human dealing with the what I call the vicissitudes of life, just the ups and downs of life. I've had some real deep down moments. We'll talk about here in a minute, but yeah. So that's the story, and that's the book. It's available on Amazon and Audible. But the
Mhm.
key thing, and one of the key reasons I wrote the book, you said about the why, is so that I could speak on more stages and be able to share a message of hope, share a message of resilience, share a message about shame and overcoming the power of secrets,
Mhm.
and just be able to be comfortable in your own shoes and be just and comfortable and not be in an adversarial relationship with self. I speak a lot about that.
First off, thank you, everything that you
Mhm.
shared. That really landed the piece on, like, not being in an adversarial relationship with
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
That's gonna land for a lot of people. Tell me, what does that mean? How can we share that with people?
What that means is that at all times, whether you are well or not well, and let me just put a little caveat. I just want the listeners to understand this. I am well. I am well. I do life well.
Mhm.
Now, I have a history which we'll go into that I did not do life well, and I wasn't comfortable with the decisions that I made. I made a lot of decisions that what we say that were inimical to my long-term well-being. They were bad for me.
Mhm.
And they were bad for society and my loved ones also, but we'll get to that. But the key thing is I'm well today, so I speak from a sense of wellness. But when you're in an adversarial relationship with self, what you're really dealing with is your self-talk.
Mhm.
And your self-talk is demeaning. Your self-talk says that you're less than. Your self-talk says that you do not have value. Your self-talk says that you cannot make a good decision. Therefore, don't make a decision or allow external people, places, and things to make those decisions. Do not have agency in your own life. And what a terrible place. I've been there. And I
Mhm.
know many people struggle with this, but I'm not fighting me. I like me. And Ken's good to Ken. Ken is
Mhm.
really good to Ken, but he's good also in relationships to his relationship with others. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's good to himself. You can be really good to yourself and still be in a negative relationship with others and society.
Mhm.
A sociopath is good to themselves.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm not a sociopath. I'm not a psychopath, but I'm very familiar with what that means. And so what I'm saying is that I'm good to self and I'm good to those who are external to me also.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for explaining that. I know the importance. We talk a lot on this show about the power of our thoughts and how we speak to
Mm,
ourselves, what we're saying. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it as, like, a non-adversarial relationship with yourself, and I think
mm.
that's really, really freaking powerful. Okay, when did you not have a great relationship with yourself? You like that?
my, my whole life until about 10 years ago. So for the listener, I'm 62 years old. I'm an African American male. I was born in 1962. My mother was a white teenage runaway, and my father was a black pimp and drug dealer. So I'm a mixed child, biracial is what we call it today. At one point, we were called mulatto, but I'm biracial. My mother put me up for adoption at birth. And because at that time, a 17-year-old white female did not have mixed children,
Mhm,
just wasn't happening. And I'm so glad, I so honor that she did that. So anyway, I was adopted by a white couple, and paperwork says that 3 months later, I was put back into the system, into the foster care system, because they sort of probably could tell that the tan wasn't going away as a baby. So I ended up doing 6 years in foster homes, and the reason I bring this up, 'cause I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here, but I wanna get people understanding of my brokenness, because I was broken. You talking
mhm,
about that adversarial relationship with self. I was broken at age 6. And what I mean by broken is I knew that I wasn't loved. I knew I did not have a mother. I knew that. As a 4-year-old, I knew that and could articulate that. Probably wouldn't use the word articulate,
Yeah.
but I could tell you that. I have no mom. I have no mother. Okay. I was adopted by Irene and Sam Miller at age 6. When I was adopted, I could not read, I could not write, I could not tie my shoes or tell time. Couldn't, because the foster homes weren't teaching that.
Mhm.
Because I went to many, many foster homes. So anyway, I learned how to read, I was a precocious child. And by the time I was 17, I was a National Merit Scholar. I was accepted to Harvard. I went to Dartmouth College. This is all a part of the story. But I went to college broken. I was broken. My father was a violent alcoholic. He shot my mom 6 times. A few
Oh,
years later, he was he w but he all the violence, I'm the only adoptive child, was directed at me until he shot my mom. That's the only time he ever had violence toward her, but everything anyway, I went through a lot of violence.
how old were you when that happened? Was
When I was beat, when
no,
I
I
was
have a feeling
when
that was a big
oh,
part of yeah, a big part of life.
I was 23 when he shot her. They had been divorced 5 years at that point, 1985.
Mhm,
So in 1980, I was a senior in high school.
mhm.
My father and I got into a physical altercation. He beat my butt, is what he did. Cops were called, police were called, ambulance was called, and I had to hide out for the last half of my senior year. Literally hide from my father, which is not the way you want to do your senior year in high school as you go off to an Ivy League school.
I
But
and
that was my experience. Go ahead. Mhm,
somehow in that, like, in
mhm,
that timing of
mhm.
experiencing that, you still were a scholar going
Sure.
to no, I'm just like, I just
Yeah.
really wanna
Mhm,
highlight that because that's
mhm, mhm.
incredible, and
Yeah.
I do wanna ask a question too, is from the outside looking in, would people have known that that's what life was like for you?
Not at all.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. That's why I wanted to ask that
Yeah.
because you're living in almo in a nightmare in a sense, and yet
Mhm.
from the outside, nobody would have any idea that that's what was going on.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. Live middle class.
Yep.
My father was a vice president at an oil company. My mom headed the nursing programs for the state of Alaska for the colleges. She was the dean of nursing schools.
Okay.
And here I am. I am literally the fair-haired child. I am
Mm,
not everyone. People would look at me and like, you'll be the first black senator from Alaska. I wouldn't even think about president. This was way before Obama. But I could do senator.
yep.
I'm gonna be a lawyer, I'm gonna do great because I look good,
Mhm,
smell good, I spoke well,
mhm.
and I am, advanced placement in high school. I'm a National Merit Scholar, okay? There's only 2 kids that went I well, 3 that went to Ivy League from my school. 1 went to Harvard and 2 went to Dartmouth. So here I am going in there, but you wouldn't know that. But this is an important part of Marsha, is that as a child, I learned how to lie well.
Mhm.
And you say, "Well, how did you do that?" My adoption was a lie. I knew it was a lie. You go in front of a judge in the state of New York, that's where I was adopted from, and they ask you, "Do you wanna be with this family?" They're not in the courtroom. They come in after I said yes. I just wanted a mom. That's
Mhm.
all I wanted. I mean, literally, I just wanted a mother. I knew my father already had some difficulties. I don't
Mhm.
know if the heart beating started, but I knew he had some difficulty. But it didn't matter. I just wanted a mom. I'll take whatever comes with that. So anyway, but what you do is they give you a birth certificate. That's a lie. This is Irene and Sam Miller are the parents of this child that my mother had gave birth to me, da 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 da. Got the dates, everything. It's a lie. And I knew it was a lie. And then my mother and I would walk, we'd be at the store, the department store, grocery store, and they would say, "Oh, Irene, is that your son Kenneth?" And I'd say, "Hi, yes, my name is Ken." And he looks just like you. And we would just smile and go on the road, okay? But
Mhm.
that's a lie, and I
It is.
knew that. And so I learned, and I was to use that for the next 50 years. the lies.
Mhm,
So even when I put on a facade that everything's all right at home,
mhm.
'cause I coulda got counseling, and we did try counseling at one point early on, but my dad didn't like the answer from the counselor, from the psychologist or counselor, because the answer I was acting out in school at age 8. I mean, acting out. I'm getting straight A's, but my behavior is very bad. And so I talked to the psychologist, and then they brought the parents in. And what the psychologist said is he's acting out all the anger he has at you, Sam, and all the fear and anger, and he's displacing it to these other children. And he didn't like that answer. I remember I was
Or
there.
you didn't.
Might not have been the exact word, but that's what the man said. And my father did not like that answer. So that was the end of that counseling. So anyway, I go off to college, and I've been, I'm broken. And then I was just very immature because I was a nerd. You probably
Mhm,
call me a nerd. And but I was very immature. I was too afraid
mhm,
to do things because the repercussions for me to make a mistake were too painful physically and emotionally painful.
mhm,
And I didn't wanna piss my dad off any way, shape, or form. So
mhm.
what it does is it diminishes a child's ability to take chances or to try new things. So I never learned how to drive. I'd never been with a girl. I mean, I didn't date. It was a lot that I didn't do going into college. I'm going into this Ivy League, institution at age 17. And so anyway, came in, um and then we'll get to this a little bit more, but I started drinking in college because that's what college kids do. People always say that, "Why'd you start drinking?" Why? Because that's what we do in college. We go to the fraternity and we drink.
Yes.
And, to be frank, what it became was like the only way I could have sex. I had to get drunk. And then, and what you do is you have 2 teenagers that are doing the same thing. We're
Mhm.
both drunk because we can't have a cogent intellectual conversation, saying, "Hey, I wanna, see if we could, bond," or whatever you wanna call it. But I'd go to the fraternity, and I'd be drunk, and the girl would be drunk, and we'd be drunk together. And then we'd wake up in the morning, I'd look at her, I'd go, "Ah!" And she'd look at me and go, "Ah!" And we'd have it'd be mutual. And I do laugh a lot, so
Oh,
listen,
yeah, I
be
think we
be
have
ready.
to anyways. I mean, I commend you. I think we have to. But I mean, I appreciate you setting up that early part of the story because I think it's very important. I mean, I wasn't surprised when you said I was actually really good at lying because you have to learn if you live in something like that, you have to learn to fly under the radar, but eventually that energy comes out so you act out in different ways. But it's like lying and hiding under the radar
Mhm.
to avoid
Everything's a mask.
it's
Everything
all a
is
mask. It's all a mask, 100% a mask.
I and I what I'm gifted with is intelligence. That's a gift, but it allows you the excuse to use that resource for bad ends. Or really, and not even that they're so bad. Remember, most of what I've done throughout my life is to protect me, is to protect my psyche
Yeah.
and my sanity. There's things I've seen, things I've done that would have broken people. Well, they did break me. They broke me for 20, 25 years. They broke me. And until I could overcome that. And so I started drinking, started doing drugs. This is back when uh, powder cocaine was non addictive. This is 1980,
Yep.
1981. Okay. Until Belushi and Lenny Bias, it
Yep.
was, and we're not an Ivy League school. This is like cool.
Mhm.
We're all preps and we can do powder cocaine because it's cool. And I'm drinking, obviously in the fraternity. I joined the fraternity. And then let me put it this way. I started drinking October 1980. Within a month, I was a full blown alcoholic. And people say, what does that mean? And I keep it so simple. It's
Mhm.
very simple. Without any sense of certainty, I cannot control the amount I drink when I start drinking. And under the influence of enough alcohol, I make really poor decisions for me, my loved ones, and society, because I affect society and community. I have the inability to drink or do drugs without pain on the back end, period. That's it. That's it. I can't control because I'm going to make decisions that are based on the drug or the alcohol or under the influence.
Mhm.
And I drink a lot. I mean, it's another hallmark. I drink a lot, but it's not so much how much I drink, it's that I can't stop once I get past like 2 beers.
Mhm.
Because what we do, and I talk about this a lot when I mentor and sponsor men, I talk about we never want to get to the point where we say F it. And, I don't know how much I can use, but I will just say the word F it.
Yeah.
And what F it means is till the wheels fall off. Till the wheels fall off.
Mhm.
And after 2 or 3 beers, I'm like, "F it, time to go get some cocaine, time to go commit a crime because I came a little later,
Mhm.
time to do things that are shame-based, that will devalue me in my own eyes."
Yeah.
We used to have a term on the street, "Let's get bent.
Mhm.
Let's get bent." That means let's get insane.
Yeah.
Let's
Like
get
way
crazy.
over the edge, like
Way
way,
over
way,
there. Let's get bent.
yeah,
Let's go
way over
do
the
this.
edge. So when
So,
did
yeah, go
that
ahead.
behavior start to become like, okay, now I mean, yes, this is affecting me. Now it's really starting to affect people around me. And I am breaking some rules of society.
So it affected me within a month. Let
Mhm.
me put it this way, month and a half, my mom knew I had a drinking problem. I remember she was married to an alcoholic. You gotta understand, in high school, I had half a beer, senior skip day. That's
Mhm.
it, half a beer. So I didn't drink. And then I go to college and it's a controlled environment. It's a very protective environment.
Yeah.
It will protect the students from even the town cops couldn't even come on campus without permission. Okay. You had to talk to campus pole. All right. So, but and well, I don't go into the town. Okay. So it's a protected environment. And what I mean by that, protects you from yourself. You have to really go over the edge. But I started noticing the behavior because I started doing things that people will reflect. These are heavy drinkers. These are alcoholics. And they're like, Ken, you're out of control.
Mhm.
These are my fraternity brothers. And then engaging in behavior that, was reflected back to me. I'd get in, let's say I get into fights. Um, One time I got drunk and I went over to this girl's room and demanded sex. I mean, demanded. You can say it was attempted rape. I demanded it. And the crazy thing about it was she talked me down. Okay. So I left. I went back the next day. I didn't even remember it because I black out.
Mhm.
She saw me like a week later or 3 days later in the fraternity, because she used to come to the frat all the time. She said, "Ken, do you remember what you did?" I said, "No." What are you talking about?" Because this was pretty common. What are you talking about?" And she said, "You came over to my dorm room and demanded that I do certain things. And, you finally left." I didn't. I said, "Cool." She said, "Ken, if you just asked nicely, I'd have done it." She wasn't a very good looking woman. If you just asked nicely, I'd have done it, but to come over at 3 o'clock drunk, demanding.
Mhm.
But that's the kind of behavior I
Mhm.
was starting to engage, and it was to get a lot worse than that. I stole from a church. I stole their holy water or holy oil and their St. Christopher's medals.
Mhm.
We were doing fraternity run, and we ended up in a church, and I stole their stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that was normal for me. Okay. Again, some violence happened, and the key is I barely made it out of college, and my college graduation present was my first treatment center. I ended up doing 14 inpatient treatment centers over the years. 14 inpatient. The first one was outpatient. I don't count outpatient. I literally don't count. It's like I don't count how many times I've been to jail. I just count how many times I went to prison. I've been to prison 3 times. Spent years behind bars as an Ivy League graduate, as the person that you're here now. I own 5 businesses. I write books. I speak from national stages.
Mhm.
I have employees. I have property in South America. I do life well. I'm a father, grandfather, husband, and I have people that love me and I love them back. That's who I am today. But
Mhm.
in between, just ask the question and I'll answer whatever you want to know.
Well, I mean, I so appreciate you sharing because obviously to become the person that you are today, becoming Ken, it was a lifelong series of lessons and a lifelong like it was there's a lot of lessons that went to that. So, I mean, you've got 14 inpatient treatment centers. You had 3 prison, is that correct? 3
Mhm,
stints in prison?
mhm.
Okay, and did each one you don't have but each one escalate in what you were doing wrong? Like, did continue like, and that's what happens, right? It'll continue to escalate until there's a turning point.
Yeah, until you get threatened with the habitual criminal statute. My next felony was 25 to life. If I stole $51, that's a felony in the state of Nevada. I was guaranteed. I would have had 3 strikes in Cali,
Mhm.
okay? If I
It
was in Nevada.
I interviewed somebody from California once who he explained, and I'm in Ontario,
Yeah.
Canada. We have ours is very different and could
Mhm.
use some work. But I'm just gonna say that with a 3 strike, he explained it. Like, had he had his third strike, he said it could have been the most minor thing ever, but it would have been a guaranteed 25. So is that a standard law? Is that how that works? I don't know.
No,
Okay.
no. It's standard in Cali, and they've had a lot of pushback for that. But you gotta have certain types of crimes too. It's not 3 shoplifting for
Right.
$50.
Okay.
But I had violence, I had burglary, I had drug sales, I have drug possession,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
And, the level and plus I have an escape on my record, nothing worse. So the level of my felonies,
Uh-huh.
which are usually you call 'em class A,
Yeah.
they will they would triggered it. And the judge was nice enough to let me know. Judge Hardesty, Judge, I think believe Peter Hardesty or John Hardesty. He's on the Supreme Court now for Nevada. But yeah, because I'd been twice before him. And then, the thing wasn't the severity of my crimes.
Mhm.
It was like for him, what a waste.
Mhm.
You went to Dartmouth and here you are in front of me for the third time. Well, second time for him. One was with
Yeah.
Peter Breen, Judge Peter Breen. Yeah,
So if
because you're
you
not
heard
getting
that
it.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're not getting it, but then that's okay, like, I understand what you're saying, I'm sure from a judge's standpoint, they're like, "We're looking at who you are, where you're
Yeah.
coming from, this doesn't make sense."
Mhm.
What was it like to hear that? Were you in a space of, "I mean, this is who I am?" Were you in a space of, "Yeah, this isn't what I want?" What was it like to hear that message? Because I do wanna take it a little bit deeper.
A lot of people say, "Did you believe him?" I said, "I still believe him." What do you mean, did I believe him? That was 21 years ago. Yeah, I believe. I still believe him.
Yeah.
You know, let me say this. This is interesting. I can talk.
Mhm.
When I wrote that book that you see up there, that's 83 hours of me talking.
Mhm.
And they said there's 2 more we could write, but this is 83 hours of me telling stories, but more importantly, is telling feelings around it, antecedents before the action, how I felt afterward, da da da. The whole because a
Mhm.
lot of people can tell stories, but they can't tell emotions. They can't
Very
articulate
true, very true.
feeling. Okay. So the first time I got sentenced, it was like, oh, whatever. And I remember sitting up there, I had home burglary, which is a class A felony in the state of Washington. I was in Seattle. The minimum is 5 years. And I'm, like, blown away because I didn't know the severity of the action. This is early on. This is 1990. It's my first felony. And we go in front of the judge, and I'm always have self-talk, and I tell him what I'm gonna tell this judge and convince him that da 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 da. And I'll never forget, the judge looked at me, he said, "Mr. Miller, do you have anything that you'd like to share with the court?" And I had the most profound moment where it all hit me. This is real. This is truth. This next 5 minutes is going to change the next few years of your life.
Mhm.
And I couldn't believe it. But before that, I'm just happy go lucky. And guess what I said? "No, Your Honor, I have nothing to say." Because I didn't. I just understood. I just understood where what, and I got lucky. I got lucky on that first one. They gave me 2 years intensive probation, they call it. Because again, he saw my record. Now this is early on. This is my first felony. He saw that there was potential here. That he learned his lesson, and he's going to be a contributing member of society from this point on. Let me just go back to college, because and again, I so appreciate your willingness to allow me to share things that are not shared probably a lot.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's very gracious of you. I'm in college. I am a virgin, and I was raped by a man. And I put myself in a situation like many women and or men, but mainly women,
Yep.
that because of being under the influence of drugs and alcohol, I made myself vulnerable.
Mhm.
And I'll never, ever forget that walk when I left this man's condo apartment in Anchorage, Alaska. I can picture it right now. And it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, 11. And I felt so dirty, and I was so angry at me, adversarial relationship,
Yep.
that put myself in this situation. And I did the 2-hour shower. I remember that. I couldn't get clean. I just couldn't get clean enough. But I never talked about that. I didn't talk about that for 20, 30 years because I was so ashamed in many communities, but in the black male hetero community, that's one of the worst things that you can have happen to you.
Mhm.
And until I dealt with it, and there's other things we're going to talk about that made me so shame based.
Mhm.
That was my secret among many.
I so appreciate you sharing this, and I'm grateful to give you this space. There's a deeper part of the conversation. I've had people come on and talk about their prison terms, come
Mhm.
on and talk about things, but I know firsthand, first experience, and from speaking to so many different people. When you have a situation that has so much shame around it and there's no room to express it, we suppress it and we suppress it. I remember a counselor saying to us at one point that without dealing with some of these things, then what can happen is that the shame like swallows you and you go deeper into what you're doing. You go deeper into whether it's the drugs or the alcohol because it's just too hard to face. Did that push you further down that spiral? And understandably so. I'm not.
Right, yeah. Well, you say understandably so. I have, and I've spoken to this on more than one occasion. I'm not a believer in antecedents. I'm just not.
Mhm.
I don't give, because the problem with antecedents, so antecedent means before the
Yep.
action or the experience. Sometimes I use words
No,
that
no, no, it's good.
maybe others, but I just want to make sure that people understand what I'm saying. The problem with antecedents for the addict and alcoholic is this: if we believe that we're an alcoholic or a drug addict because of our antecedents, we have a sense that if I cure the antecedent or the feeling around the antecedent,
Mhm.
then I can drink or do drugs successfully. I can control the drinking or the drugging. So if
Mhm.
I deal with the childhood trauma, if I deal with the uncle when I was 6 years old, if I deal with, being assaulted at age 12 and put into the hospital, this didn't happen to me. I'm just giving examples and deal with the feelings around it and talk it out and get it out with the counselor, get it out with the pastor, get it out with from the stage. Then I can drink because I don't have that.
Mhm.
That's not what's pushing me.
Mhm.
Doesn't work like that. At
Mhm.
least I'm just saying for me, this is my
Yeah.
truth.
Mm. No, I wanted to open up the conversation because I know when
Yeah.
shame is taking hold, a lot of times if we don't address shame, you get smaller underneath of it. Like it and so
Yeah.
yeah, we get smaller underneath of it. And then the things that we're using to help us to deal with the feelings of shame can sometimes spiral even more.
I think it's just a low level. Let me put it this way. I still had the shame whether I was drinking or drugging.
Yep.
Because I had periods, couple years here, couple years here, twice. Right. When I first came out of college, 84 to 86. And then again, this is what happened. 1984, I graduate, I go to treatment, I get sober. You gotta understand, and for the reader, let me picture who I was. I am 6'2". I've modeled. I've been in a movie. Okay. I'm good looking. I'm Ivy League educated. I'm wearing Hickey Freeman suits, Allen Edmond wingtip shoes, silk suspenders, silk bow ties, and making $50,000 a year legally representing Kodak or 3M products. Okay.
Mhm.
I go to vacation in Hawaii sober, and I'm like, I fixed everything. I'm well. I can drink like anybody else. Why can't I drink like anybody else?
Mhm.
Everything on the outside and even internally, I'm pretty good, even though I was still dealing with my father, the shooting and the
Yeah.
situation. But that wasn't on in my consciousness all waking hours.
Mhm.
And guy offered me a blue Hawaiian. I'll never forget that. This guy, and I ended up buying weed from him. And within 3 days, I'm broke calling my mom, rescue me within 3 days.
Wow.
And literally from 1986 until 2004 is when I stopped. 2007 is when I got out of prison the last time. So I always say 21 years homeless or incarcerated and was little. And I had one other 2-year period when I got the intensive outpatient
Mhm.
parole. I stayed sober. But then again, I got well. I got well. Therefore, I'm well. I can use without there being repercussions.
Mhm.
What a
But I'm not even though, like, you have
yeah.
evidence that that's not true, but it doesn't that's not how our mind looks. It's like, how can I not just have one? Like, what's the big deal?
How can I yeah, just how can I just drink normally? Because I dealt with the problems. At least I thought I had.
Yeah.
And I hadn't. I
No.
had. But again, the problems weren't pushing me. It's not like I woke up in fear or guilt or shame, each and every day. I wasn't.
Mhm.
I was living this beautiful I when I get well, I get not even well. When I look good, I look good.
Mhm.
I put on that mask.
Yep.
I can play the game. The intellect, I learn, I observe, I learn, do, and then act. Okay.
Mhm.
So the key is I come out of let's go. So we're going fast with the 86. I relapse and it only took about 2 years and I'm homeless. And when I mean homeless, I am homeless.
Mhm.
and I'm living in the missions on the streets of Seattle, Peniel Mission, Bread of Life Mission, Union Gospel Mission, Salvation Army ARC program, Downtown Emergency Shelter, Seattle, Washington. That's the way I'm living. I begin pimping. I'm pimping teenage girls up and down Aurora, South Tacoma. And I know this is wrong. I know this is wrong. And the crazy thing about it, I didn't know this is what my father did. So one of the things is when you're in that world, you learn about human behavior.
Mhm.
Remember, I'm seeing businessmen because they're tricking with the
Yep.
young ladies. And I'm seeing this behavior, or they're looking for drugs or whatever.
Mhm.
And and then I'm also seeing things that I can't even understand. One of the girls is 14 and she gets arrested. SeaTac, very famous. This is the Green River Killers strip that he got all his women from. This is 1991, summer of 91. She gets arrested. She doesn't come back. We're in a motel. I get a knock like 2 hours later. I've gone to bed, going back to the mission the next day because that was where I got my money and my money for drugs.
Mhm.
And I opened the door and it's like four cop cars out there. I never remember Tukwila police, SeaTac police, and the manager of the motel. And they're like, "We'd like to talk to you. Is your name Ken Miller?" I said, "Yep." So we'd like to talk to you about promotion of solicitation or prostitution. That's the term, promotion of solicitation of prostitution. I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He said, "Do you know Siri Wakefield Smith?" I said, "Is that her name?" And I can think quick.
Yep.
But this is the important part. They couldn't put anything on me. They couldn't. I wasn't admitting to anything. That's rule number 1 on the streets is you never tell on yourself. And landlord like, "You gotta be gone in the morning." And as they were leaving, I just said, "Well, what are you gonna do with her? I mean, what happened to her?" Because I told him she told me she was 18. I just sent her out to get some cigarettes. I
Mhm.
don't even smoke, but that's what I
But
said
that
to
was
her.
a good story, right? To go
Oh,
with
it was
yeah.
good. It was quick too. Anyway, so the cop goes to me and he says, "Oh, well, her mother's coming to pick her up." I'm like, "Good," because I'm saying to myself, "Good. Take your butt back to 8th grade." Can you believe 45 minutes later, the cops leave. I gotta be gone. It's maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I go to the door and it's her. Her name on the street was Sunshine. And
Mhm.
she's like, "Hey, do you want to meet my mom?" And I'm like, "Your mother drove an hour north of Seattle, picked you up from the jail to bring you back to your pimp. What kind of mother?" I mean, again, this is the kind of experiences that we
Yeah.
see. And I'm not saying anything, but another thing I wanted to say this, and God, this is this a conversation. I have talked to over 100 prostitutes, over, easily talk to. I mean, just sat and talk with them. We sit and smoke crack and we talk about the streets.
Mhm.
And 100% have childhood sexual abuse. 100%. Because I'd ask them.
Mhm.
And they would trust that they liked me because I didn't stress them for physical interaction. I didn't. I just want to smoke crack.
Mhm.
Hell, why should I do that? I'm just like you because that was my big secret. Not the rape. That wasn't my big secret.
Mhm.
My big secret was that I was a male prostitute. I was turning tricks on the streets. And I so hated myself because that's literally as a black male,
Yeah.
that is the about the lowest you can be. Maybe a child molester. I wasn't that. Well, you I mean say that. 14. But here I am turning tricks to pay for crack. And that was my big secret because I didn't want anybody to know that on the streets. The girls knew.
Mhm.
And then, of course, I didn't want that being known in the penitentiary.
No, that was and
Right?
then that you had 2 more prison terms right
Yeah.
after that first
I
one,
had 3 altogether.
3
Yeah.
3 altogether.
Yeah.
So, where was a turning point for you where you just, "Okay, this is not like, I think I am meant for more." There had to be a point where you
Mhm.
believed that your story, your life, your message was meant for something more and you wanted to do something differently. What where was that turning point?
Out of the 14 inpatient treatments,
Mhm.
at least 12 I wanted to get well. At least 12, 10 or 12. A couple of times I just needed a rest. So let me do we call them a spin dry. Let me do a 21 or 28-day spin dry.
Mhm.
But I ended up doing more of the year-long ones or 90-day long ones
Yeah.
because my addiction was so intense. So September 22nd, 2004, I was arrested. I had lost my sugar daddy, which is just a name for an individual that takes care of you and you provide services for, but you live with him.
Mhm.
Okay. And I was at a point where I was suicidal. You talking about that adversarial relationship? I was at the point where I gave up. I couldn't beat him. I couldn't beat him. He's in me. I can't beat him. Each day he's gonna wake up and make decisions and choices that are going to be devaluing. Okay.
Mhm.
Just the clothes I wear or didn't wear, the hygiene, where am I sleeping? Abandoned cars, abandoned homes. My biggest goal on the street was to get a weekly motel room. So anyway, I wake up in this closet because I've been living in a closet, a broom closet for about 3 days. Me and the cockroaches, 32-ounce natural ice beer, crack pipe, and a lighter. Landlord finds me, kicks me out. I'm done. Call my mom. Can you send me to treatment one more time? She said, I'll do it one more time. I'll have the ticket at the bus station, so I can go out to Seattle, go into the Union Gospel Mission free program.
Mhm.
So anyway, I get arrested for selling a $10 rock of crack cocaine because I needed money for the bus. I didn't smoke it. In my life, there's only been 2 occasions I haven't smoked every single piece of crack in front of me. Only 2. One, I OD'd because I smoked so much, okay, in LA. This is one of the 2 times. The other one, I had food poisoning. And I sold the $10 to undercover. I got arrested. I'm waiting for the paddy wagon. I got tears flowing out of my eyes. And the cop comes to me and says, "Why are you crying? Everything all right?" And something, nah, nah. My jaw's wired shut because I had gotten it broken twice in the month before. And I said, "I'm crying because I'm going to live, because I'm going to live. I'm in such gratitude that I've been arrested." Arrest means to stop. I've been stopped because I can't survive on the streets. I can't survive in this fight with me, which I thought was with me, but really it was a fight with God. But I
Mhm.
thought it was a fight with me. And you guys, I can do prison. I've been there twice before. Okay? I'm not looking for 25 to life,
No,
but so that happened. Then a month later, and this is what I always talk about is the pivot. This is when you say the question you're asking is when did I pivot
Mhm.
finally? Because I'm coming up on I just celebrated, not coming up. I just celebrate yesterday, 21 years clean and sober.
Oh, amazing.
But the pivot was October of 2004, a month later, lying on the bunk, Unit 13, Par Boulevard, which is the jail in Washoe County. And I had a conversation with God. And I really didn't have a conversation with God. And people I always say that because it comes out quickly. I listened to God.
Mhm.
And God very simply said, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be without pain or discomfort, but I will be there and we can walk through this. I haven't wanted to use or drink since that day. I still had a lot of growth, a lot of emotional things I needed to do.
Mhm.
I go to prison and I said to myself, walking into prison, I need to work on the physical, I need to work on the intellectual, I need to work on the emotional, and I need to work on the spiritual.
Yep.
And probably the most important was the emotional. Because if I don't heal that, I can get my body. I've been lifting since
100%.
91. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I can get the intellectual. I can talk good. I
Mhm.
can articulate. I can think. That comes back in time. The spiritual, I can dabble in that. But if I don't deal with this shame, if I don't deal with the power of the negative secret, I'm doomed. Sober, clean, or under the influence, I am doomed. And again, I had narrowed the doors that were left were 25 to life or death. Those are my doors that I have if I continue the behavior. You've got to understand, I have too much pain, too much baggage that's going to be acted out and displaced on someone else or on the community.
Mhm.
I've gone to kill someone on 3 occasions. And if I had found them, people say, well, would you have killed them? I don't say, I always tell people, I don't know. I'd have shot them.
Mhm.
Whether they died or not wasn't really the function of the gun. It was to shoot them and cause them pain. But I'm really displacing anger from something else. One was over 6 rocks of crack cocaine and one was over $100. And one was over, he was just talking what we call out the side of his neck.
Mhm.
And he disrespected me. And I had to deal with that.
But that's the emotional, like, that's part of what you're saying there too, the emotional response. Yes, there was addiction there too, but you said how you had to really deal with the emotional healing and growth that had to happen because like, a person listening to this that doesn't understand
Mm,
addiction, doesn't understand the backstory, goes like, why would you shoot somebody over $100? You can't
yep.
apply a logic to that because that, like, that was your reality. That's what you were living in. That's what life was. And but you said how you had to really deal with the emotional aspect of your own growth and healing.
Let me talk to that real quick.
Mhm,
So people who, and first of all, I would like to say to the listeners, learn through my experience, but you don't need to go through my experience. I would not wish my past life on my worst enemy.
mhm.
The amount of pain that I have and the amount of pain I put out, I would not wish that on anyone. Okay. You say about being illogical. It doesn't seem like it's illogical
Mm,
to
somebody
see.
listening to the
Right.
story, right? They're like, "What?" They don't because you
Right.
can't take
But
logical.
it is logical.
Mhm,
In my community, and I'm talking about my community, because remember, everything's about community. Okay, please understand this. Everything's about community. So my next book is a book on respect and disrespect. It's a whole book on it.
mhm,
And what respect is acknowledgement of a person's position or stature within a community. It could be the community of the family, community of the church,
mhm,
community of the prison, community of the streets. I have a stature on the streets. Remember, you don't know my secrets, but you do know I'm a drug dealer. So I have access to weaponry because as a drug dealer, and remember, this is my position or stature, I have to be- because people either wanting to take from me or people are going to do something that it is a script that I have to play out.
mhm.
You take 6 of my rocks and others know about it. See, I always tell people there's disrespect when there's no one around. I may give you a buy. I had a buddy give me a buy. I'm in the penitentiary, and there's 3 words you can't use toward another black man. You can't call him a punk, you can't call him a B, and you can't call him an N if you're another race. Okay?
Okay.
Okay? I'm playing dominoes with a killer, QB. He's dead now. He died at age 26, smoking crack cocaine, smoking a Grimmy, which is cocaine sprinkled on tobacco.
Mhm.
Okay? After 26 years old, 6'3", 240, 250, a killer from Oakland. What I mean by a killer, he not to be trifled with.
Mhm.
Crack didn't care. Okay. But anyway, I'm in there. He's my bunkie. And I know him from the streets. Ronnie Fraser was his name. He's dead. Beautiful, beautiful man. And that's let me just and I've been with people who are drug dealers, who are killers, who are a lot of things. And a lot of them are they're broken, just like I was.
Yeah.
They're broken. And getting to know Ronnie Fraser was one of the QB was one of the most incredible things because everybody was afraid of him on the streets. But we're stuck in this. It's called classification. So you got to go through 14 days and you only let out a half hour every 48 hours. That's it. So I'm in the cell with him for 14 days straight and you get to know somebody. And we're both, clean and sober in prison. All right. So the quick thing, we're playing dominoes. We make these dominoes out of cardboard. And I'm playing, and I say 20 on your B butt. I'll say B butt. So it was a BA. And I didn't know the severity of using that term. And he came this close to hurting me very, very, very badly. I know where I can go.
Mhm.
That door is locked. Okay. And so anyway, I learned about that. So again, what you do behind closed doors, and if I had done that in front of people on the streets, used the B word toward Ronnie or QB, whatever you want to call him, it, it'd have been over because he can't allow others to see that because then they will treat him as less than.
Gotcha.
They will not acknowledge that stature because you let him talk out the side of his neck.
Mhm.
So anyway, that it's going to be a powerful book. I'm so looking forward to writing this book. It's so needed. But we have that in the boardroom. We have that in the corporate world. Disrespect.
Mhm.
We have that in the family. I don't know about your family, but my family, I used profanity at my mom one time. And my mom was so cool. My mom was just the most beautiful. This is my adopted mother. She said, Kenneth, would you like to rephrase that? I rephrased that in like point 0.5 seconds because I knew I
You
had
knew.
stepped over and disrespected my mother,
Mhm.
like disrespecting your grandmother.
Mhm.
Yeah, but this is my mother. Okay. So anyway, it was so much to deal with, and especially the emotional.
Mhm.
And then, I dealt with the shame. I started dealing with the shame. I really didn't deal with the shame until I got on the stage and start talking about it. All right. It's in the book
Yep.
for the whole
There's
world to see.
there's nothing like you start to realize processing shame when you share it openly on a stage. And but what happens too, I'm sure you found that it's a very universal emotion. Many people are experiencing
Mhm.
it. Even though they might not have your story, people can connect to it and they understand and see it. So, I mean, you now speak on on stages, you have written
Mhm.
a book, you
Mhm.
have tell us the work that you're doing today and just really share into the impact that you're creating.
So I am creating impact.
Mhm.
I would like to scale the impact. So I've been mentoring. I made a decision to mentor young black men 15 years ago. So that's another book that's coming out probably December, January, which is mentoring within communities of color.
Mhm.
And so what I do is I engender dreams. That's what I do as a mentor. I engender dream. First thing I do when I sit down with a man, and when I say young, that's anywhere between like 20 and 55.
Okay.
Okay. When I sit down with these men, now it's over Zoom. It used to always be in person. Now it's over Zoom. I say to them very simply, I have one responsibility to you as a mentor. And my responsibility to you is to engender your dream. What is your dream? I pause for a second, then I say to them very simply, I give you permission to dream. And then I shut up. I've had men sit there for 10 minutes because all they've gotten, you can't do that.
Yep.
You're not
Like,
you're not
down.
competent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they've gotten it from parents, they've gotten it from counselors, they got it from, teachers, they got it from their peers.
Yeah.
And here I am, a person that says, as a black man, an older black man that's been there, done this, whatever success I have, I'm going to do everything within my power. And then when it happens, do you know I've had grown men sit across from me, grown adult black men with tears in their eyes because the dream came true.
That's beautiful. They have most likely not been in a situation where anybody has, like, listened to their dream or allowed them space to share it and put it out there or believed in them.
Oh, but the other thing is I help them get there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key. So anyway, that's one thing I'm doing. The other thing that I'm doing is going on stages and, talking about resilience. That's an easy one, but I'd love talking more about taking away the power of the secret.
Yeah.
That's my real big one. We can call it shame, but and not all secrets are shame based.
Mhm.
Some secrets are guilt. Some secrets are anger.
Yeah.
Some secrets are fear. One of the things I can speak to is I know what my core issue is. It took me years to understand it, but I already know what my core issue is. My core issue very simply was that I was going to die alone,
Mhm.
rejection and abandonment, because I knew I wasn't wanted.
Yeah.
But I've healed all that. And see, the other thing is, see, this is the key about the secret, because the reason we have secrets is because if you knew my truth, you wouldn't associate with me.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like me. You wouldn't be my friend. You wouldn't be my lover. You wouldn't be my colleague if you knew my truth.
So
Because
the
I don't you
secrets
know I'm less than.
well, and the
Like,
secrets protect you, right? They're protecting you.
yeah, but they're protecting, but they're killing you at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. No, you think they're protecting you, but
Yeah,
they're, like,
yeah.
just squashing
It's
your
what we call pseudo
yeah,
protection.
yeah,
And
pseudo.
please, listener, please understand this. I am not saying you need to be in front of 1,000 people
Mm,
and tell your secrets. Not at all. That's just what I do. But I've talked from the stage and I have people come up to me afterwards with tears in their eyes because they're like, I can't believe you had the courage to talk about that. If you can do it, maybe I can sit down with my pastor. Maybe I can sit down with a counselor. Maybe I can sit down with my sponsor or my mentor or my BFF and say, this happened to me when I was 13.
yeah.
This is how I felt, and this is how I feel about it today.
Amazing. Honestly, I'm so grateful our paths have crossed and connected and the work
Mm,
that you're
mm,
doing. And again, I want to have a space here where people can come in and share
mm.
stories like this because I we just need to hear it from people who have walked it and lived it and are doing something with it. So, where can people connect, find you, learn more about you? I know they can see it here, but I'm
Yeah.
curious for people to know.
I usually tell most people, again, I'm a little different. I say most people, I'd say just go to my LinkedIn, Ken Miller 84.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've been on other podcasts. My number is 907-250-8488. Call me. I don't have any fear. And if you want to call me and talk to me, give me a call. If I can pick up, I'll pick up, but I'll get back with you. And then if you want to email me, there's, Ken at kenmillerspeaks.com.
Mhm.
Feel free. And I do. I get people. I, I am so grateful, Marsha. It's not you. There's sometimes I lie in my bed and I just kick my legs like a little child.
Mhm.
I'm 62 and I do that because I am so grateful that I have a bed, I have a roof over my head. We just put a offer on the house, 1.1 million, because I can,
Mhm.
and they accepted it. So we're getting ready to move. I got property in Ecuador. I mean, I got 6-bedroom home. I mean, those are just toys, not even toys. They're not toys.
They're things, but
the
it
thing. This is the key. I like me.
Mhm.
I heard a guy speak in 1998 at an AA meeting. And what he said was, I am a kind and gentle man. And I almost fell out of my seat. I'm trying to get cleaned up. I'm on the streets. And somebody said, they're a kind and gentle man. Do you know what that will get you on the streets?
Mhm.
But I had never heard a man say that. I didn't hear from my father. I never, my uncle, nobody. And I've embraced that. I would say that to all people say, who are you? Or what are you? I said, I'm a kind and gentle man. I haven't put hands on anybody in 21 years. I haven't threatened anybody in 15. That's growth for me.
Mhm.
Okay. That's growth. And so I'm comfortable in my own body. My wife got on me this morning, wondering why, I got up. So I couldn't wait to get to work. Got up at 4:30 so I can get in the office and run my businesses,
Mhm.
do this podcast. What a blessing. And thank you for this vehicle for individuals such as I. If I can touch one person, if I can touch 5 people, if anybody wants me to speak, I speak for free. I
Mhm.
spend thousands just to fly to places to speak, just so I can share this. I don't want anything. I'm financially fine.
Mhm.
I'm a millionaire, for
Mhm.
God's sakes. It's not the finance. I do it because I have a gift from the stage and because I believe it's my calling. We have this term called in the
Mhm.
spiritual, in the church, we have a calling. That's my calling.
Okay, well, what's really speaking to me,
So,
and I just want to be able to
mm,
emphasize
mm,
this, is the piece that you turned so much around. You created so much for yourself, family, financial freedom, all these pieces. And I love your heart that you still give back to share your story, which continues to help others. I think that speaks volume to to you, and you're able to pay those lessons forward and share that with others. So I thank you for doing this work,
mm.
because the reason this podcast started was because I was a parent dealing with teen substance abuse, and I hit a point where I was like, I knew I would not be the person to change my kids' lives. I knew that because I tried everything possible. But I thought someone's going to cross their path and make a difference in their life. And then I actually said to myself, but how can you expect anyone else to do it if you're not going to have some difficult conversations and share your own story, share your journey. And that's what I started to do. So I love to be able to open up space for people to be able to share their real and vulnerable stories, because we are so much more connected and so much more alike than what we think we are. So I thank you.
And I thank you. Again, what makes you unusual is you're a doer.
Mhm.
So much of, and this is my experience. I always say the term, this is my truth. Many people come up with great ideas. Many people take those great ideas and talk about them, but there's only a small portion that do it.
Mhm.
I tell people, all the guys I work with, whether I'm sponsoring you or mentoring you, coaching you, doing consultation, and I tell them, I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. What I care about is what you do. Okay. Now, if we need to look at what you think and what you feel because it's doing this type of action, cool, we can go there.
Mhm.
But it's about my thinking, my feeling didn't put me in prison.
Yeah. Actions.
Okay. I mean, if it was about my thinking, they'd have never let me out.
Yeah. No, I
I
know.
done thought about some stuff. Most of us have. They'd
Yeah,
have thought
there's
we'd
I
eat.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I love that you shared that and you went there because actions are everything. They're literally like it is actions. I've so loved this conversation, Ken. I really love the connection. I'm grateful that our paths have crossed. I
Mhm.
will make sure we have all the connections for people to be able to reach out and
Mhm.
connect with you. My last question for you is what
Okay.
lesson in life are you most grateful for?
What lesson in life am I most grateful for of the thousands of lessons? All right, I'm just going to pick one that comes to my head
Yep.
first, and that is the lesson of self forgiveness. And, I've forgiven others. I forgave my father before he passed. I mean, it was years before he passed. I forgave him for shooting the person I loved the most in this world. But I had a difficulty forgiving myself for the people I've hurt, the girls that I used, the women that I used, the individuals I physically hurt, emotionally hurt. It was tough
Mhm,
because sometimes we want to keep embracing that. And in the end, it becomes almost selfish and
mhm,
self centered. And who am I not to forgive? I'm still a child of God. I've forgiven all the people that hurt me. And so why can't I not? Or why would I choose not to? Because really, in the end, when you don't forgive yourself, you're playing God.
mhm,
You're playing God. That's of hubris. That's of ego. And one of the things that I've learned is I had to stop playing God. Because when I play God, what I state is I have these rules that are in opposition to God's rules.
mm,
And I hate to tell you, at least from my experience, his rules win, or his rules of truth with a capital T. Mine are pseudo truth with a small t. So, yeah, I had to stop playing God and had to learn to forgive myself.
mm. Probably for different reasons, one of my most powerful life lessons, honestly. Yeah,
Awesome.
I do, I say that all the time. It was self-forgiveness was that I had to come to that space, and the level of peace I learned
Mhm.
from that, nothing taught me peace like learning how to forgive myself for my role in life and what we were walking in.
Anytime you say, if I was a better,
Mhm.
fill in the blank, there's some self forgiveness that needs to be.
Yeah,
You did the best with the cards that were laid out in front of you
yeah,
under the circumstances. And
right.
so I just honor all the listeners. I just honor the people who are listening because you've taken the time to listen.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. If you love this episode, I invite you to tag me on social media with your takeaways or share it with a friend. Please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I will be forever grateful. Until next time, remember when you own your choices, you truly own your life.